We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, everyone. Got a quorum. Everybody is here this morning. Would anybody like to make a motion to accept the staff report into record, or does anybody have any amendments? Got a quorum.
I'll make a motion.
Everybody is here this morning. Would anybody like to make a motion to accept the staff report into record, or does anybody have any amendments? A quorum.
I'll make a motion.
Everybody is here this morning. Would anybody like to make a motion to accept the staff report into record, or does anybody have any amendments? A quorum.
I'll make a motion.
Everybody is here this morning. Would anybody like to make a motion to accept the staff report into record, or does anybody? I don't know if you guys can hear it. We can hear it here. I'm like,
I'll make a motion.
everybody is here this morning. Would anybody like to make a motion to accept the staff report into record, or does anybody? I don't know if you guys can hear it. We can hear it here. I'm like,
I'll make a motion.
everybody is here.
It should be good.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Motion passes. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from the September 8th meeting that we had?
Yes.
Any changes or corrections?
Nope.
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to accept the minutes from the September 8th, 2021 meeting?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from 2008 meeting.
Perfect.
Second.
Any other discussion? No? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So we do have 8 hearings this morning. Before I jump into that, sorry. Eric or Megan, whichever wants to address it, the certification of the resolution is going to be one of those days for the solar energy utility scale was approved at the county commissioner meeting. Was there anything else you guys wanted to add for that?
No, Madam Chair, thanks for all the hard work the Planning and Zoning Commission did. Makes it easier for the Board of County Commissioners. And so now we're in compliance with the state statutes that have changed. So appreciate that. Job well done. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, guys. I know that was a lot of work to go through that. Thank you. We do have 8 hearings this morning. We will, we're going to kind of somewhat change it a little bit. We're going to hear public hearing number 1 first, and then public hearing 2, 3, 4, and 5, because the applicants are actually the county. We are going to lump those together, and Megan is going to go over those. So we're not as much repetitive. A lot of it is the same language. But we will need individual resolutions when we vote on those. So we will need a motion for hearing 2, hearing 3, hearing 4, but we are going to open those 4 together to hear everything at one time, just so everybody's aware of that. Works. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open a public hearing number 1, Wes and Jennifer Woodward. It's a zoning map amendment from R2 mixed residential to B retail business. So we'll turn it over to Megan.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. As you stated, this is public hearing number 1. The property owners are Wes and Jennifer Woodward. They are also the applicants. Their address is 363 Turret Drive in north of Rock Springs. Their current zone on the property is R2, which is mixed residential. What they are requesting in this meeting is they're requesting a zone map amendment from R2 to B, which is retail business. The zone map amendment is for 1 acre of land. The minimum district size for retail business is 1 acre. And per our regulations in the Sweetwater County zoning regulations, a retail business district is defined as, this district is intended to accommodate retail sale of consumer goods and services directly to the customer. Due to the nature of the services provided, B zones may be appropriately adjacent to residential areas if adequate setbacks, design standards are implemented. Good design and adequate off-street parking should be a part of any new area devoted to this zone. It may take a form of a small shopping center or a small central business district for a small community. What Jennifer Woodward is proposing is to start a nursery business called Simply Sunshine. She's hoping to do some cut flowers, trees, pumpkin seed germination, a lot of just different little things that can be held in a nursery. This is the zoning map. As you can tell, the area that she's located in is a mix of mixed residential, which is R2, and I1, which is light industry in her neighborhood area. And this is actually the site plan that she proposed, showing where the greenhouses and the high tunnel will be located, square footage wise and everything. As you can see in the northwest corner of the property, there's quite a bit of space up there that will be used for parking for people when they come to visit the nursery. There's plenty of parking there, so it doesn't have to happen on street, which is good. She's able to meet any of the setbacks, anything like that. There's a lot of room on this property for what she's proposing. Here are the site photos that were taken when we put out the public notice sign in her front yard. And we'll just get right into the review criteria for this zone map amendment. The first is the amendment is consistent and compatible with the current resolution and comprehensive plan. This zone map amendment would be creating a local option for residents within inside Sweetwater County to purchase nursery plants locally. This is one of the things that Jennifer has wanted to bring to the area for some time and has also been working with the land use department for about a year or so, just trying to find a good location in which she can start her nursery business, wanting to start things off on the right foot and not step on any toes. And so the next criteria that we'll get into is number 2, the proposed zoning is suitable for the existing topography and builds and creates buildable lots. This amendment is in a location that the existing topography will be suitable for retail business per section 11D of the Sweetwater County zoning regulations. Nurseries require 1 parking space per every 500 square feet of gross floor area. As I stated before, there's plenty of room for parking near the front of the property for the required 5 parking spaces that she will need to operate her nursery business based on the square footage of her greenhouse and the proposed high tunnel. Criteria number 3 talks about making sure that the zoning is compatible with existing or allowable uses of the adjacent properties and neighborhoods in the zoning district. As I've mentioned before, the land surrounded by R2, which is mixed residential, and I1. Areas like this are good for a retail business. There's already a mix of what's going on in the area. These lots are bigger than what they would normally be, let's say inside city limits, usually a minimum of 1 acre. Also in this area, because of the light industrial, there tends to be just a little bit more traffic than what there would in a normal residential neighborhood. Criteria number 4 talks about the proposed zoning can demonstrate adequate public facilities, including road, drainage, potable water, sanitary sewer, police and fire protection exist or serve the existing requests at the time such facilities are needed. This is an existing site with a greenhouse. As long as the greenhouse and high tunnel remain open, there is no need for any extra precaution with this. Just due to how the structures are built in the first place. And there's no need to add anything else at this time. Criteria number 5, the amendment shall not adversely affect adjacent properties, communities to the health and safety and welfare of the residents of Sweetwater County. As of Friday around noon, when we sent out this, I sent out the staff report to you guys. We had only received 1 comment that was from a neighbor that was in support of this zone map amendment. We have also received just discussion that there might be just questions that need further clarification just from other neighbors in the area, which I think are present today and can be addressed during the public comment portion. Criteria number 6, this request conforms to the applicable provisions of this resolution. As I said before, the site is 1 acre. It meets the minimum size for a retail business district and conforms with the rest of the 2015 Sweetwater County zoning resolutions. The public and agency comments we have received. One was provided by Jess and Shauna Egbert Family Trust. They said, sounds good to us. They seem to be really excited about it. The other comment we received was from Kinder Morgan, and it stated, I have reviewed the description and map for the property located in section 32, township 19, range 105 of the 6th principal meridian, also referred to as 363 Turret Drive, and determined that Kinder Morgan has no facilities within the described area. And as a staff, we recommend the approval of this zone map amendment. And I would like to propose a discussion about adding the following condition that has come about just with a couple discussions we've had that have happened late Friday afternoon and even yesterday. But I would like to propose that this zone map amendment from R2 mixed residential to B retail business run with the nursery business. When the nursery business ceases operation, the zoning will revert back to R2 mixed residential.
Okay.
That's all I have, Madam Chair, as far as this presentation.
I'm just writing me a note real quick.
You're good.
So are you the applicants? Okay. Would you like to add anything to the presentation that Megan has? And if you would introduce yourself to everybody so that we know who you are, or because we video it live also, so everybody else does.
That's just fine. I'm Jennifer Woodward, and this is my husband, Wes Woodward. And we, I don't know what the best thing to share with you would be. This idea to have a nursery started about a year ago because we were farmers before we moved to Rock Springs, and we moved to a tiny little lot and thought we could move to the city and stop growing things, and found out that we can't. And so a nursery gives us an opportunity to still farm, but on a much smaller scale of acreage. We found when we started it, we kind of started it as an experiment, and we got a license through the Wyoming Department of Agriculture. Right. We lived on a 0.2 acre lot, and we got our business license through the city, and we kind of did it as an experiment. Like, do people want this as much as we want this? Not just for our kids, but even, you know, he works at the schools, and we watch kids a lot, and there's just something magical to about and growing things, and we all need it. And anyway, we had such a great response in the spring that we decided to move forward with trying to find a place that we could start the business on. Commercial property is so expensive that we couldn't pay a mortgage and support 5 kids and pay for land for a seasonal business, which the nursery is a seasonal business. And that's why we chose the location we did, and we've been trying to work with the county, and that's why we're here today. So we appreciate the time and energy, especially from the Planning and Zoning Commission. They've been really good to work with us. So.
Does the board have any questions for the applicants while we've got them up at the table? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your insight. Also, I think it's a great idea. But we'll go through the motions of all of it, and hopefully we can help you do that. So
Thank you.
perfect. At this time, we would go ahead and open it up for public comment. If there's anybody in favor of the zone map amendment, if you would come up to the podium now and state your name and what you would like to tell the commission. I'm so excited. We have guests today. It's awesome. I love it. Okay. Are you in favor of the zone map amendment, sir? No? Okay, let's go ahead, and if there's anybody that is against the zone map amendment, now would be a good time. So if you would come up and state your name and let us know what you have.
Yeah, Jim Wolf is my name. I live at 388 Turret,
Okay,
which is about 2 doors down from Woodward's.
Okay.
We first heard about this from another neighbor. We didn't get this saying we're 2 neighbors down. 2 lots down, we did not receive one of these. My son lives right next door. He did not receive one of these. I thought everybody on the street would get one if anybody got one. But why they just sent 2 or 3 out, I have no idea. The sign that was
Mhm.
stuck in the driveway, that lasted, I don't know, for a few days, I guess. And then the page where the thing, it was hanging off the thing like this, so you couldn't read what it said in the first place. But yesterday, Jen Woodward came over and talked to us, my wife and I.
Mhm.
And she said she was in favor of that temporary permit for, what is it, B zoning. There was a clause in your manual, or whatever you want to call it, that you can have a temporary permit instead of just going flat out to the
Was forever.
B. Okay, and I can't hear too well, and I can't understand with these
Microphones,
here,
yes, they're
you
not
get this-
amazing.
garble, like I could hear better without these and with them. But anyway, she talked a mile a minute. I don't have any idea what she said. I heard property once in a while or something to that effect, but I don't know what she said. So I'm pretty much in the dark about what was going on so far. But I just wanted to comment on what I have yet to learn. What is the size of that property in question?
It's a 1 acre lot,
1 acre.
correct.
Okay, so the back half is 0.88.
That I would have to check. Is it 0.88? I have no idea.
The property owner to the south of Jennifer
Yeah.
Woodward's lot would be the 0.88,
Okay.
correct?
But this is the first time I heard what that was. I know I've got a plat and it shows all those lots along there were
Mhm.
1.88 acres, 210 feet across the front. But I didn't know any other thing about it. Okay, I'm all in favor of the temporary permit, but I'm not in favor of changing this to B zoning. That doesn't make any sense to me. And some of my other neighbors feel the same way. I guess we could have taken a poll or something, but yeah, I've done that in the past, bring a sheet with all the people listed, what they want, what they don't want. But yeah, if it was just a temporary permit to the B zone, that would be fine with me. And as well as I know one of the other neighbors, 2 of the other neighbors, would be fine with them. I couldn't understand what they said up here today. I know what she said. I know what she told us yesterday, and she was in favor of that. Is that what she said today?
So is what at this point is what we have is, and I can move my phone if that's better. Is what the county is recommending is to do the zone change. However, when they no longer do the nursery, that it would go back to residential. Is what the proposal is at this
Okay,
point.
The commission is for the zone change?
Well, you know what? We've not voted anything on that is what the application is and what the county recommends is that if it does change to the business, once the nursery ceases and it's no longer in business, that the zone change would go back to residential to R2. So
If it was changed, if you changed it right now to the B
Mhm. When the
and
nursery is no
they sold
longer-
out or whatever,
Mhm, then
it would go back to R1.
Or R2, correct?
there's
R2,
R1
yes.
in here.
Is it R1? It is actually R2 mixed residential,
Okay,
and it would
Okay.
go back to the R2.
okay. Now that's a guaranteed thing.
If it's voted on and approved, and then the county commissioners would have to approve that as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all for that.
Okay.
Like I say, I mean, we didn't know about this even happening for several days after the sign was up and all that kind of stuff. We went by there a couple of different times. We're gonna talk to these people and they had a bunch of cars in the lot and what, like, I didn't want to go in and, disturb all that situation. They were moving in. So we're gonna go talk to them, but then first thing we know, there's a sign up there changing I thought, oh, what kind of nonsense is this? I didn't hear about this. And then one of the other neighbors called me and said, did you get the papers on the zone change? I said, no. I'm 2 doors down, 388 is our address. 363 is that address. So we're, just,
Eric, do we send out? I know we do a public notice that we put the sign out, but do we send anything else out? I guess I should know. And
We only
apologize if I don't.
send notices to adjacent property owners.
Okay,
That's why.
okay.
adjacent means next door.
Has to be touching the property. So everything that circles, you're not adjacent to their property. That's why you did not receive a notice.
Well, like I said, I'm 100 yards down the road from them.
Mr. Wolf, those are the regulations.
It's a regulation.
Yeah,
Yes,
that would
yes, sir.
be whoever's,
Okay.
yeah, touching
Well,
their
Who
property.
keeps track of whether that sign stays up or not? Like I said, that paper on the top of the board was hanging off the corner
I
just
think
like
Wyoming
this.
Wind, that's who. No,
Well,
I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
everything else, I know that. But who
Yeah.
keeps track of that? Who's, somebody supposed to go out there and make sure that it's up there? How does anybody know what it even says? Things like hanging like this.
No, well, and I do apologize. That is something we unfortunately can't control is that wind, so. But we will take your comments into consideration though. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's about it for now.
Perfect.
Thanks, Sam.
You're welcome. Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that is against the zone map amendment that would like to speak? Is there anybody in general that not necessarily for or against, but would like to comment on the zone map amendment? No. Okay, hearing none, we will close the public comment. We will open it up to the board if they have any questions, comments, concerns that we need to address before we take a vote.
I got a little question.
Okay.
So if we go this temporary R2 or to business, isn't it better to do like a conditional use that drops off at the end of the owners? Or I'm just thinking zoning flip-flopping is the actual zoning. Would it be better to go with like a conditional use thing to say the business is allowed to?
As far as I'm aware, and Eric, please add in, feel free to add in, but as far as I'm aware, there is no opportunity for a conditional use
Okay.
on the property as it is now for a nursery business. Hence why we're going through the zone map amendment with
zone.
the condition that was proposed as well.
Okay, I just seeing have zoning flipping on a change of ownership is a little, zoning is zoning, it's now zoned for this, what this piece of property is. That's just my view of things, so.
No, I completely understand that. And I would just like to just remind everybody that the condition that was proposed, and you guys can definitely
Mhm.
add and change this however you guys see fit, but the
Right.
zone would be tied to the nursery business,
Okay,
not the property itself or even the applicant.
okay.
It would be tied to the business being in operation on that property.
Okey-dokey.
Okay, I do have a question. This will maybe alleviate Mr. Wolf's concerns. If they do sell the business and a new owner comes in and buys a business, would they have to come in front of the board again to get recertified to get it to a B1 versus an R2? Or would it just stay a B1?
They would have to come in and apply for a
So-
new,
So if they do sell the
Zone.
business, Mr. Wolf, no matter what, they still have to
back.
come in and go in front of the board.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
So another thing that we were concerned about is resale, say it flops and we have to sell the business, and what if we move? We don't want to sell a residential business zoning. We would want to sell it as a residential, as a retail business. We want to sell it as a residential because people don't want to come in and, generally speaking, buy. So that's why that clause is favorable to us as well.
Perfect. Any other, Rob, do you have, I feel like you have something.
I do have a question. So we're possibly changing this to business, and there's a residential home on it. Is that an issue? Are they gonna be kicked out of their home?
no, that is not with the condition that's in there. As Wes also stated, it's favorable to them. Basically, the clause is just tying everything to the business. It's not affecting anybody being able to live on this property. It's just making sure that the retail business zone district does not go with anybody else but who is before you today.
Just one for me. Can you state the condition so that when we're voting on this, we know exactly what that's going to be? Because I'm hearing, you know,
Is what I had wrote down was the condition is once the business ceases operation, it reverts back to R2. Is that correct?
but I keep hearing that the business is going to be the B1 versus the property. So is that,
I think if I can add in there, if we state that the nursery business is the condition on there. The way I have it written, and I apologize for not having this in the staff report, it came up after everything got sent out. But I can read again what I'm proposing, and if we want to change from there, we can go from that too. But the zone map amendment from R2 mixed residential to B retail business run with the nursery business on the property. When the nursery business ceases operations, the zoning will revert back to R2, which is mixed residential.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I do have a suggestion on that because a comment came up that they would have to come back to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The current way that's written, I would read that as if they sell the business, they could continue, someone else could come in. I would say to add in there when the nursery business owned and operated by the Woodwards, then tie it to their name, I think needs to be added in there just to clarify. Because if that's what truly it is what you want to do, I think that needs to be clarified.
Okay, thank you, Eric, because I do agree. Thank you, Megan, as well. Does anybody have any other questions? Oh, okay.
I'm back. I'm sorry. So so probably this will help clarify and put everybody's minds at ease too. The structures that we're putting up, the greenhouse structures, they're a high tunnel structure, which is a portable structure. Because honestly, I would love to not have a business in my backyard. I have little kids and I don't want strangers always at my house, but this is where we have to start. And so eventually, like if we were to move, I am not leaving those greenhouses. I want to take them with me. So really, we do want to be able to revert it back just for our sake, for like my husband said, to be able to resell the house, but also because those are a $20,000 investment. And we plan to, we would love to be able to expand because it is a small start. Like it is a small place to start, but we have to start somewhere. And so the nature of what we hope even for us would be that we could expand and move those structures off, but certainly we won't be leaving them if we were to move. I don't know if that helps clarify anything. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything further? No? All right. Do we have a motion? Did anybody write all that down?
I did. I penned one.
I'll make a motion that we approve the zone map amendment from R2 to B with the staff recommendation that if the business ceases or is sold, that it reverts back to R2 zone.
And that it's owned and operated by the current Woodward
Yeah,
owners. Yes. Okay.
I'll second that.
Any last discussions, questions from anybody? No? Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. So your application will go in front of the county commissioners on the 19th, and they will have the final say for that for you guys. So thank you. All right, we are going to move into hearing 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to lump those together since the applicant is the Sweetwater County, and a lot of the information is somewhat redundant. And if we have any questions, please, we'll allow time for that, but we'll let Megan go ahead and get started on public hearing 2, which is on behalf of Hilliard Properties. Number 3, on behalf of Dominion Freight Line. 4, Dns Burns Property, and number 5, Dns Burns Property as well.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. The The first zone map amendment we have in this area is for the Hilliard property. When we started this process, it was owned by LT Enterprises. They were in the process of selling to Hilliard Properties, so just want to make that clarified. The address for this property is 10 Clearview Drive, which is where White Mountain Mining, the restaurant, resides. This is a 1.3 acre parcel and is currently zoned as a manufactured home, MH. And what we are proposing to do as the applicant is change this to I1, which would be light industrial. Per the Sweetwater County 2015 zoning regulations, the minimum district size for light industrial is 10 acres. This is also the reason why this hearing and the next 3 hearings kind of need to run in conjunction with everything else so that we can meet the minimum district size of 10 acres. All these are really, really tiny parcels. So there will be 4 parcels for the 4 hearings to hopefully make this go through and work all together, just so that we can make minimum district size. That's kind of the factor behind tying all this together. Per our zoning regulations, light industrial, this district is intended to accommodate manufacturing and light industrial uses which require adequate service and infrastructure. The uses should be located adjacent to existing communities or in other areas where services are and can be provided. This district is intended to provide a transition between commercial and heavy industrial. The map that I have before you is circling all 4 of the properties we are proposing to change to light industrial. As you can tell, 2 of these properties are currently zoned commercial. 2 of these properties are currently zoned manufactured home. Also, the reason for just with Robert's rules and legal processes and everything like that, we need to have separate recommendations and resolutions for everything, but everything is tied together and all is started under the same purpose. This is the property where the White Mountain Mining Restaurant is located. This hearing is for the mobile manufactured home, to light industrial. Here are the site photos that were taken when the public notice sign was put up. And we'll get right into the criteria for the zone map amendment. One of criteria number 1, the amendment is consistent and compatible with the current resolution and comprehensive plan. This is an existing site, and the way that this site has been used has been a grandfathered use in this area. What we're proposing to do is matching the zoning to actually how the land's been used for years, to where that grandfather right doesn't need to run with the property. Our criteria number 2, the proposed zoning is suitable for existing topography and creates buildable lots. As I've stated numerous times, you'll hear me say this over and over again. This area already houses light industrial uses. Light industrial is that good mix between commercial and heavy industrial businesses in the area. Just so everybody's aware, restaurants are also allowed in this zone district. I know a lot of people probably don't see restaurants in the light industrial, but per our regulations, this is allowed. Criteria number 3, the proposed zone district is compatible with existing or allowable uses of adjacent properties and neighboring zoning districts. This property is currently surrounded by commercial and manufactured home properties that are already within the county. This is right on the border of the city limits with Rock Springs. When you jump south across that border, even those neighboring properties are zoned I1, which is light industrial inside the city limits, and B2, which is also community business as well. Criteria number 4, the proposed zoning can demonstrate adequate facilities, including roads, drainage, potable water, sanitary sewer, police and fire protection exist or will exist to serve the request use at the time of facilities are needed. This is an existing property. All the public facilities are already on the property. There's nothing that needs to be added. This is strictly just a zone change. Criteria number 5, the amendment shall not adversely affect adjacent properties, communities to the health and welfare of the residents of Sweetwater County. So far, we have not received any comments against this proposed zone map amendment. Criteria number 6, the request conforms to all applicable provisions of this resolution. As I've stated before, the minimum district size for light industrial is the 10 acres. This will be one of the 4 hearings that need to all pass all together in order for this whole thing to work. We did receive one comment from Kinder Morgan. I have reviewed the map and location of the property located in the southeast corner of section 32, township 19, range 105 of the 6th principal meridian, also referenced as 10 Clearview Drive, and determined that Kinder Morgan has no facilities within the project area. As a staff, we recommend the approval of the zone map amendment, provided all the applications listed below for this zone district minimum size are approved as well. We go through to list the next 3 hearings. And with that, Madam Chair, are you okay if I just jump right in, or do we need to
Absolutely.
do?
Yep.
Okay.
No, does anybody have any questions so far, since the county is the applicant? And then we'll open it up for public comment on all of them at once. Are you guys good?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The next zone map amendment we have is for the property owner of Old Dominion Freight Line, Inc. Again, Sweetwater County Land Use is the applicant on this project. This parcel is 2 acres, located just across the street, a little bit north. Their address is 85 Gookin White Mountain Road. And this property is also currently zoned manufactured home. This property has housed the freight terminal for Old Dominion Freight for years. When reaching out to the property owners, one thing that kept coming up was, are we still going to be able to operate as we've been operating for years? This has already been a grandfathered use because it's a manufactured home. This is a grandfathered use. We are willing to continue to do so. We're just trying to match it to a bit better zone district than manufactured home. Land Use Director Eric Bingham has written them a letter explaining that they can continue operating as they have done for years, as long as the property does not continue for a space of 1 year. If that happens, the grandfathered use of the motor freight terminal will no longer be a non-conforming use and will go away. The Old Dominion Freight was good with that. They have no intentions of having that use lap. But that was also something that we did just to put their minds at ease, and it's not changing anything, just another piece in the bigger puzzle of this one. This is where the property is located. Like I said, it's just adjacent, all in the same area, right on the Rock Springs city limits as well. Here are the site photos that was taken when the public notice was posted. And we'll get right into the review criteria. Again, this is just realigning the property use. The use will still be grandfathered in, and the zoning will match much better for how this property has been used for years. This amendment is in a location that is very suitable to light industry uses. Historically, there's been lots of businesses that are allowed in the light industrial zone anyway. It's just a matter of cleaning things up. As we stated before, this property is surrounded by commercial manufactured home, also matches very well with the neighboring properties inside the city limits. And as it is an existing property, there are adequate facilities already located on the property. Nothing will need to be changed there for this zone map amendment to go through. We have not received any negative comments against this zone map amendment at this time, and the request conforms with all applicable provisions of this resolution, again, provided that all 4 of these hearings be approved together to meet the minimum district size of 10 acres. We received one agency comment from Kinder Morgan. I have reviewed the location and map for the property located in the southeast quarter of section 32, township 19 north, range 105 west of the 6th principal meridian, also referenced as 85 Gookin White Mountain Road, and determined that Kinder Morgan has no facilities within this area. Staff recommends approval of this zone map amendment, provided all applications below are approved as well to meet the minimum district size.
Any questions on this one from anybody? No? All right, perfect. Moving along. Good job.
So, okay, the next hearing we have is for DNS Burns Property LLC. They actually own 2 properties just north of the White Mountain Mining Restaurant. This one is for the 2-acre parcel, which is the very north of the 2 parcels that they own. The address we have on file is 40 Clearview Drive, excuse me. It's currently zoned commercial. So this hearing and the next hearing are the 2 that are commercial in this whole thing, with trying to change to the light industrial use, or excuse me, zone. This property has been used as a towing and pound salvage yard, storage yard for vehicles for a number of years. Dave Burns has been really great to work with, and sees this as a benefit to his property. It keeps everything tied together. It doesn't change anything for him. He's excited for it to go through and for him to not have to be the applicant for once on the
sure,
property.
yes.
So he was very excited for that as well. This, as I stated before, this is just the northern portion of his 2 parcels that he owns. Here are the site photos that were taken when the public notice was posted. And starting with the criteria again, this is just to match the property to a more accurate zone district. It's a great area for light industrial uses. Again, there's existing neighboring zoning districts match up very well with what is being proposed here as well, both in city limits and in the county. As we stated before, this is an existing facility and there's all adequate public facilities that are on the existing property. Nothing will need to be added for this zone map amendment. At this time, we've not received any comments against this zone map amendment as when we put out the staff report. And again, this is one of 4 hearings that need to go through for this to work and meet minimum district size, which is 10 acres. We did receive 1 agency comment from Kinder Morgan. I have reviewed the map and property in the southeast corner of section 32, township 19, range 105 west of the 6th principal meridian, also referenced as 40 Clearview Drive, and determined that Kinder Morgan has no facilities in this area. As the land use staff, we recommend approval of this zone map amendment. Again, provided all applications that we're discussing are approved as well to meet minimum district size.
Questions, comments on this hearing? No? Okay. Moving on.
All right, last of these 4 hearings, and hopefully I'll quit sounding like a little drone. Again, this
That's
is
good.
for DNS Properties. This is a 7.81 acre parcel. It is the biggest parcel we're dealing with in this area, which helps us put over, I believe with all of these together, yes, it's 13.11 acres. So we will meet the minimum district size. Again, this parcel also has been used by Dave Burns for towing, impound, salvage, and storage of vehicles, as well as mobile homes are located on here, and also the SunWest apartments. He will be able to continue operating as he has done in the past. It's just matching the zoning to everybody in the neighborhood. This is the parcel referenced for this particular hearing. Here are the site photos. And again, with the criteria, we're matching the parcel to a better use, matching the use of the parcel to a more better accurate zone, excuse me. This is a light industrial area, and uses will be able to continue and operate as they have for years. It's not changing anything. This matches and is compatible with adjacent properties, both inside city limits and in the county. It's an existing property. There's adequate public facilities on the property as well. There's no need for change. Excuse me. This amendment does not adversely affect adjacent properties. At this time, we've not received any negative comments against this proposed zone map amendment. And this request conforms to all applicable provisions of this resolution, provided all 4 of these hearings get approved together to meet the minimum district size. We received an agency comment from Kinder Morgan. I have reviewed the map and location of the property located in the southeast quarter of section 32, township 19 north, range 105 west of the 6th principal meridian, also referenced as 30 Clearview Drive, and determined that Kinder Morgan has no facilities within the area. Land use staff recommends approval, provided all applications listed below for this zone district minimum size to be approved as well.
Since the applicant is the county, I'm not going to have you guys come on up, but yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll open it up for public comment. If anybody in the public is for any of the 4 hearings, public hearing 2, 3, 4, or 5, if you would please come up and talk about that now, if you are for the zoning map amendment. Is there anybody in the audience that is against the zoning map amendments? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to say anything in general about the map amendments? Okay, hearing none, we will close the public comment and open it up to board comment. If anybody on the board has any questions for staff regarding these zoning map amendments. I just had, which it was answered, because the restaurant to me was just a little different. I'm like, does this really fit into that? So that was answered in there. That was one of the questions I had.
I do have some questions. I did catch that you have talked to DNS Burns and Dominion Freight. Have you also talked to the Hilliard Properties as well?
Yes, actually, Austin Hilliard is the owner of Hilliard Properties. He's actually the one who kind of jump-started this project. He bought the properties from LT Enterprises and is wanting to just do some upgrades to the property, and came in when he was looking at purchasing the property and kind of just explaining what his ideas and everything were to do so. And this has been an area that the land use department has wanted to clean up for years. And we saw this as a good opportunity to see if we could get all of the neighbors that we could on board to do so and get it to a zone that fits everybody's needs in this area while also meeting minimum district size.
And then with this change into industrial, is there going to be any like setback issues or fencing issues with it being adjacent to manufactured home zones or adjacent zones?
Not that I'm aware of at this time. Eric, do you have anything to add on that one?
I can't hear the question. What was the question?
Sorry. So we're changing it to industrial, and it'll be adjacent to like a manufactured home zone. Does that cause any problems with any setbacks or fencing requirements?
So in the I-1 zone district, there'll be more restrictive setbacks. So if anything, now we can regulate it more restrictively than we can under an MH zone district. So it's good overall.
But does it affect the building now? Like
No,
it won't?
sorry, no.
Okay. Okay, and then, sorry.
No.
I did have
Yeah.
one other question. see they're kind of broken out as individual properties, and it's not like one large zone. And so I guess my concern is does this need to be all one continuous zone? Because what I'm looking at is in the future, if they want to zone change this one, zone change this one, zone change this one, that we started some sort of precedent. And if it does, then since it is just the right of way, can we just make this one continuous boundary? So that's not a problem.
Can you go back to the map, Megan?
I would just like to add, I think one thing in having the separate hearings per parcel, I definitely do see what you're getting at with there, but also one thing, just as far as a mapping side of things, all these and also why we are doing separate recommendations and resolution, there's already a legal description tied to each one of these properties. If we were to do it all as one, I think we would have to get a new legal description written up for everything. I could see that as a potential problem. I don't know if Eric has anything else to add on to that.
Sorry, I just had to pull the map up so I can see a little bit better. So they are contiguous. Are you questioning like the property to which properties are you concerned about?
So like that manufactured home one that's to the east of White Mountain Gookin Road, it's not contiguous to those other properties because there's a right of way in between them. So my concern is we allow this to be two separate properties in order to meet the size requirement. And my concern is then maybe somebody wants to do this with properties that are kind of polka dotted throughout in order to meet that requirement. That we
Oh, so in future surrounding properties, okay.
that they could then do that.
But you said Old Dominion was already grandfathered in, and then once it goes away, that will go back to manufactured home.
No,
Oh, it
No.
would go to light
No.
industry.
It would
even
stay
only
light
being-
industry.
We're matching.
Stays.
Yeah, that was their concern is they could continue. Here's my thing is what we're trying to do here is match the zoning according to what's going on out there. When people do look at the map, like Map Server, if they were to look at this map, they're like, okay, we have MH zoning, we have Hemp Hill trucking on it. My concern is in the future, paperwork gets lost or anything that could happen, we've matched zoning according to what uses are out there. The same thing with Mr. Burns, because right now he's also non-conforming. And so when you have a bunch of non-conforming situations going on, we're just doing the best we can as far as matching the zoning according to the properties that are out there. I do understand your concern, Mr. Gerard, especially with the property to the east. I think that's what you're talking about. It's that one.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the two properties that are to the north of that are too small to accommodate light industrial zoning. So let's say we wanted to, and then there's a storage unit complex that you're kind of seeing a sliver there of commercial. I mean, that could be zoned I-1. I don't see a purpose of doing that because you're pulling more light industrial towards Clearview Acres. But what you're doing is you're aligning industrial types of uses on a pretty busy section of the road there, and staff feels comfortable with changing those zonings. I do also want to state that another reason why we felt I-1 was also good moving forward is because to the south in the city of Rock Springs, so what you see in aerial photography there is the city of Rock Springs, that's light industrial. So we're matching actually even the zoning to the city of Rock Springs. But that's really the purpose of why I know it goes on to the other side of the road. You just have to take each situation as they come along. I do understand your concerns, but the way we see it as a zone area, we're seeing that all as one, all 4 zone changes, even though it's kind of a strange kind of the way it's all going to lay out. But I know we did look at that, but really the properties to the north of that would not be ideal for I-1 zoning. You have a church, and then you have a business, a residence that's on a very small parcel there. It'd be very difficult to accommodate I-1. So that was the reason why that doesn't continue to the north. Now, the property to the west, that's all zone commercial there. That's vacant right now. So, that could possibly be, in the future, could see some I-1 zoning there, possibility. So I understand your concern. I don't see it an issue with this one, just because we're, part of the issue here too is there's not a clear history of the zoning with it. So when we went actually back in the records, there was almost an argument, well, should this have been commercial or industrial? So that's another reason for fixing the situation, because that history is a little unclear too, and we just want to clarify things today. So appreciate your concerns. I do see what you're saying. It's not ideal, but these uses are there, and we're just trying to match what zoning we have to what's actually out there. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
I would like to add though, just on the sales side of all of this, and I've met with Megan and Eric on different things, not this one. We do have a couple places, this part included, in the county that, zoning and history and, like Eric's saying, records of what it shouldn't be are not very clear. So I am super excited about this, that it is going to be a little bit more clear. We have documentation. This is what it is. This is what's currently here. I like the idea of changing it all to what it should be and what is currently there, because we do have a couple areas in the county that it is very unclear, and it's very hard to track and figure out and find documentation for why it is what it is. So clearing a big portion of this up, I think, is a great move and step forward that I am in favor of. So I do like it. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, and I understand your concern, Rob, because.
I do,
yeah,
and I do, absolutely,
yeah,
it's
who's gonna
valid.
Just say,
Yeah.
this is, I
Yeah.
want all these right in here.
Absolutely.
But I
No.
think being contiguous on all this, I think it that makes sense.
Yeah, I think as long as you're calling the right of way there, that it is contiguous.
Yes.
My concern is you have a property and then you have another property and another
Yeah.
property, and then we're leapfrogging properties in order to make a size.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
not doing
conforms,
that.
yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. So we zone roads, whether that's a good thing or not, we do in the county. So that's the reason why Megan is tying all these together.
Mhm.
So when we actually do zone changes, we are doing them by parcel or lot.
Uh-huh.
So, well, we try to, if it's this whole subdivision, let's make life easier and put the whole boundary around the subdivision. So we're not doing these individual lots. It's a mixed match hodgepodge out there of legal descriptions and the entire, like an entire area, just to make things easier, and then maps load faster and things like that. But it is all going to be tied together.
Okay, so the right of way there is.
Yes,
gonna be-
I know. I understand your concern.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the confusion on that.
No.
That's why we're here. is to
Yeah.
clear
I got it now. Now I understand. So yeah, no, that's the reason why they're all 4 tied together. Yeah, I got you. Thanks, Madam Chair.
That, and just one added note to that, the reason for the minimum district size is also you need to have contiguous parcels. In the past, spot zoning was allowed in Sweetwater County. That is no longer allowed. This is one of the areas where it almost looks like spot zoning is happening, where White Mountain Mining is located. Technically, in this day and age, we would consider that spot zoning, but because it was grandfathered in, there's nothing we can do to that until we do something like this to try and clean everything up all at once.
So we would need individual resolutions for each public hearing. So if anybody would like to move to start public hearing number 2, if anybody has a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve public hearing number 2, ZMA, from manufactured home to light industrial.
I second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public hearing number 3.
I'd like to propose that we accept public hearing number 3, for zoning map amendment from manufactured home to light industrial.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Public hearing number 4.
I'll make a motion to modify the zoning map amendment R2 mixed residential to B retail business. Am I on the right one?
Nope, number
Nope.
4, commercial to
Nope.
light
Number 4.
industrial. Sorry,
There we go. Zoning map amendment to commercial to I1 light industrial.
thank you.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Public hearing number 5.
I'd like to make a motion, we accept public hearing number 5, the zoning map amendment from a commercial to light industrial.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Any other final discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor for the zoning map amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Megan and Eric. I know this has been a big, long, ongoing process, but I am super excited for it. It is good. I think it's a good way to clean some of these sections in the county we have up. So, Mr. Volsick, I apologize. You are our last 3 hearings and you've had to sit through some fun things this morning. So public hearing number 6 is Robert Volsick. It's a variance. And we will begin with that. Megan, are you doing this one as well? All right.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So the next 3 hearings are all tied to a proposed subdivision in which Robert Volsick is proposing to do. We are at the preliminary plat stage of this process, and in doing so, a couple things have come up. One is 2 requests for variance for access road widths and also a zone map amendment. So just a little bit of history on the following hearings that will be all tied together. So this public hearing is for variances for access road width the Volsick subdivision. The current zone of the proposed lot, I'll go over to it. So the orange boundary right here is for the boundary of the proposed subdivision itself. As you can tell, it's R2 CRS, which is commercial recreational services, and MH manufactured home. This is a good example of what spot zoning looks like, especially
Yes.
all on one property.
Yeah.
Just kind of tying in the last one. This is areas that we're liking to clean up, and fortunately, Mr. Volsick is on board to do that as well. No. No, it is not. Okay. Give me just a second and
Yeah, we'll go
I'll
ahead and we'll let Megan
explain
go
it
through
just
the
a little bit
proposal, and then
more.
we'll have you come up and introduce yourself and, yeah, add whatever you would like.
Right, so this proposed subdivision, Volsick subdivision, is a 3 lot subdivision. Proposed lot 1 is 30.75 acres and will remain the existing Volsick trailer court. Proposed lot 2 will be 34.08 acres of vacant land, which will be just to the east of where the trailer court is located right now. And then proposed lot 3 is 0.77 acres and is where Mr. Volsick's house currently resides. He is requesting a variance for the access road widths inside proposed lot 1, which is, when you're looking at this map, most of where the R2 in the yellow is located. Here is the preliminary plat, and Mr. Randy Hansen has gone out with his team and has surveyed this. He's surveyed the existing roads that are within inside the mobile home trailer court. And the reason for this variance is there are existing roads out there. There are people's homes out there, and there's only a limited amount of room of what can be done. Because of where this property is located, it's considered to be inside the growth management area, the GMA area. Typically, we would need 60 feet road widths in instances with subdivision plats and stuff like that. The variance is to request allowing 30-foot widths on those roads. Here are the site photos to the property. And these are the two variances that I'm talking about from our code. One is for the Sweetwater County zoning regulation, section 4C5B6. And it reads and talks about private easements. As I mentioned before, 60 feet within inside the growth management area is the variance specifically that we're requesting this for. The second variance is also a request for the same thing. It's just found in the Sweetwater County Growth Management Plan under section 6265 roadway requirements for parcel divisions and subdivisions. Basically asking for a variance to alternate design standards, which kind of points back to the 60 feet that we were talking about originally. Just trying to make sure all of our bases are covered moving forward with this subdivision process. The first criteria for a variance talks about there are special circumstances or conditions fully described in the commission and board's findings, which are peculiar to the land or building for which the variance is sought and do not apply generally to the land or buildings in the neighborhood and have not resulted from any act of the applicant subsequently to the adoption of the zoning resolution. As I said before, the existing accesses within the non-conforming mobile court are already there. These roads are not proposed to being upgraded. Within this subdivision, these roads are proposed to continue to be privately maintained. They will continue to operate as private roads. Due to the existing nature of these roads within the mobile home court, there's limited space to increase the width. And Mr. Hanson can correct me if I'm wrong, but the 30 feet is more of an average of what the roads are within the mobile home court area that he was able to tie down a number to, just so we can more accurately define these roads. Criteria number 2 for variances. For the reasons set forth in the commission's and board's findings, the circumstances or conditions are such that strict application of the provisions of Sweetwater County zoning resolution would deprive the applicant of the reasonable use of the land or building. The granting of the adjustment is necessary or the reasonable use thereof, and the adjustment as granted in the minimum adjustment that will accomplish this purpose. Again, these roads will be privately maintained. The county is not looking to add any roads to their maintenance plan. 60 feet is not something that can be accommodated. 30 feet is the biggest that can be accommodated in this area. Just for everybody's information, the proposed lot 2, which is the vacant property to the east of the mobile home court, they are also proposing a 60-foot access coming in off there. Because that will be new and will be for the proposed lot 2, that will meet the growth management area. So this will only be applying to the roads within the mobile home court, will be the 30 feet that we're requesting here. The third and final criteria for a variance, the granting of the variance is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the zoning resolution and will not be injurious with the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. This is something that is now definable, which before was not something that was definable. It will also in helping with Mr. Volsek providing access to his property and also the property owner that lives kind of up on the hill. The Eddie's property will also be able to use this access as well because these are existing roads. And they are actually constructed to fire code standards, so we're good there. This will not hinder any emergency vehicles or anything being able to access the property anywhere out here. We have not received any public or agency comments at the time that the staff report was completed. And the land use recommends the approval of the 2 variants for the Volsic subdivision with the following conditions. That the preliminary plat for the Volsic subdivision is also approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Preliminary plats are only, they stop here. They actually don't go to Board of County Commissioners. And the second recommendation is that the zone map amendment for proposed lot 2 is also approved by the Board of County Commissioners. Again, this is just the theme of all the hearings today. Everything kind of predicates on everything else. That's all I have for this, Madam Chair.
So Mr. Volsic, if you'd like to come up and introduce yourself and add anything to what Megan and Eric have presented today.
Basically, this has been created because I want to sell my park. And state law says that if you have a piece of land that's been divided more than once, you have to go through subdivision regulations.
Correct.
My dad gave me 2 acres. I gave my daughter 2 acres. So it's been divided that way. That's why I'm going through the subdivision laws. You know, it's nothing that there's no new construction whatsoever. And all it is I'm going to take my piece of land. I'm going to cut the left side where the park is and sell that and keep the right-hand side. It's the right-hand side, I think will, you know, be valuable someday down there for industrial or commercial. And that's be at a later date.
So lot 1 will have no new construction in it whatsoever. You're just doing this to basically get the variance so you don't have to worry about the roads anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Does the board have anything else for Mr. Volsic? Questions? Okay, perfect. Thank you. We will go ahead and we'll open it up for public comment. If there's anybody out in the audience that is for the variance, and now would be the time to speak on behalf of that. Hi.
My name is Dana Eddy. I actually own the property north of the Volsic Trailer Park. So I would say in regards to the size of the streets, that I would prefer to keep it at the smaller amount, just because if we expanded that, especially on the north side of the park, that would impinge onto our property, a great deal of our property. So in that regard, I would like to keep the street size the same. So that's all I have right now.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to the variance? Anybody in general that would like to speak on behalf of the public hearing 6 on the variance? Okay, hearing none, we will close the public comment. Does the board have any other questions? Mine was addressed because mine was for Jim as far as, you know, fire safety and whatnot, if that was adequate, what we have now. So that was answered for me. No? Okay. All right, hearing none, do we have a motion for public hearing number 6 for Robert Volsic on the variance change?
I'll make a motion that we grant or recommend the variance change.
I'll second that.
We have first and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries for public hearing number 6. We will move on to public hearing number 7, which is Mr. Volsic also, which is a zoning map amendment from R2 mixed residential to CRS commercial residential services and mobile home manufactured to CRS as well.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the map. I think that's the easiest way to explain a lot of this. As I've mentioned before, this is a spot zone area that we are trying to clean up, and Mr. Volsic is in favor of trying to clean this up as well. In doing so, we are wanting to propose that the parcel outlined in orange be changed to just CRS, which is commercial and recreational services. So it matches the property boundary of the proposed lot 2. As we've mentioned before, this is also a vacant piece of land. There's at this time, no construction is being proposed to go onto it right now. Here's the preliminary plat as well that JFC has submitted. And we will jump right into the criteria. The first criteria talks about consistency and compatibility with the current resolution. This zone map amendment will help to create a new lot that's located near the interstate that will be ready to be developed. I think this is really good timing, as you guys are all aware of the construction that is going on the interstate right now of the new interchange that's being put into play. I think it's a good location, and putting it into one proposed zone district, I think will also help in selling if that is something that Mr. Volsick would want to do in the future. This proposed zoning is also suitable for an existing topography and creates buildable lots. This amendment is actually in a location that used to be a sewer lagoon, which is now considered a brownfield site. Developers could potentially qualify for grants for these brownfield sites. This was something that was new to me that I learned while putting the staff report together. So that's also something that can be useful to whoever does decide to develop this property in the future. It's able to be done, and there are grants enabled to do so as well. So that's also a plus. Criteria number 3 talks about compatible with his existing and allowable uses in the adjacent property. The land surrounded by mixed residential on the west side, which basically covers all of the existing mobile home court. And on the east side, in the proposed subdivision or in the subdivision over there, the Laos subdivision, it's all commercial and light industrial. CRS is a good blend of the area and also helps in eliminating the spot zoning that is already existing. Criteria number 4 talks about adequate facilities to the proposed site. Through the subdivision process, all adequate facilities will be put in place. That was something that will be taken care of and can be gone into further detail in the next hearing. If you guys do have questions, please just let me know, but it's a vacant land right now, so there's not much that needs to be added to it. At this time, we have not received any negative comments for this zone map amendment. And this request also conforms to all provisions within the Sweetwater County zoning regulation. Just for your guys' information, just for the commission's information, excuse me, the minimum district size for CRS is 10 acres as well, and we far exceed that, so we don't need to keep adding properties to this one. We have not received any public or agency comments at the time that the staff report was turned in, and staff recommends approval of the zone map amendments with the following conditions: that the preliminary plat for Volsick subdivision also be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that the 2 requests for variances on the access road widths also be approved by the Board of County Commissioners as well. Everything all runs together. And that's all I have for this hearing, Madam Chair.
Perfect. Mr. Volsick, is there anything you'd like to add for the zone map amendment, or are you good with what Megan presented? Okay, thank you. Does the board have anything, questions for changing it to the CRS and putting it all together? No? All right, hearing none, do we have a motion for public hearing number 7?
I'll make a motion for zoning map amendment number 7, R2 mixed residential, CRS commercial recreational services, and mobile home, manufactured home, to CRS commercial recreational services.
Thank you, Mark.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And we are on our last public hearing, number 8, which is Mr. Volsick also, which is the preliminary plat for the Volsick subdivision.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I've stated before, this is the preliminary plat. It will just be heard here for the Planning and Zoning Commission. It will not go to the Board of County Commissioners. The total acreage that will be consisted in this subdivision is 65.6 acres. Located here. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse on this. Everybody knows where it's located and that it has the existing mobile home court on it. Here are the site pictures that were taken when the public notice was posted. And we'll just jump right into agency comments that we have received so far. All West states, please ensure telecom rights away for property and adjacent to power. We have no other concerns. Kinder Morgan states, I have reviewed the map and locations for the preliminary plat application for land located in the south half of section 6, township 18 north, range 105 west of the 6th principal meridian, and determined that Kinder Morgan has no facilities in that project area. One thing that's because of the location of this subdivision and its location to the city of Rock Springs, it's within the 1 mile boundary. So it also has to go before the Planning and Zoning Commission at the city of Rock Springs as well. They have to sign off on it and approve it. A little unorthodox thing that happened here was it got submitted to the city of Rock Springs, and the city just went and ran with what was presented at that time. At the same time, the preliminary plat was submitted to the county, and we pumped the brakes just a little bit. We had some questions that we wanted to look into before we started pushing this things through. So just for everybody's information, the city has approved the preliminary plat. It was under just a little bit different revision than what I'm presenting before you today. This is the latest and greatest of what we have. In talks with the city planner at Rock Springs, Miss Laura Lee, she has stated that she has no problem and doesn't see any need that it needs to be reheard again. We just need to give her a copy of what is approved if you guys approve that here today. She's on board with that. So as I'm going through the comments, I will try to address what has been revised per the revision of the preliminary plat that we have before you today. The city of Rock Springs, city planner Laura Lee states, on Tuesday, September 7th, 2021, the Rock Springs City Council approved resolution number 2021-126, approving the preliminary plat for Volsic subdivision with the condition that all utility review committee comments are to be addressed on the final plat. The resolution and utility review committee comments are attached. We do understand and accept that the revised preliminary plat has been submitted with Sweetwater County. The final plat will be required to go through the city's Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council for approval. The subdivision boundary needs to include all 3 lots. This needs to be reflected in the drawing and legal description. This has since been addressed and has been clarified in what is being proposed today. The City of Rock Springs Engineering Department, Megan Jackson, states, access into the subdivision shall be approved by YDOT. If the property is to be annexed into the city limits, subdivision will be required to be brought up to city standards. See City Ordinance Chapter 16. Further comments and requirements would follow. YDOT, Darren Kaufman states, YDOT has no objections for the proposed subdivision. Comments provided on the sketch plat dated February 25th, 2021 still apply. Comments from the sketch plat. As development occurs, the owner needs to obtain new access permits from YDOT for any changes in use. As it sits, existing access spacing would not meet YDOT's access manual. As a suggestion, please consider relocating the proposed lot split between Lot 1 and Lot 2 along Foothill Boulevard approximately 300 to 600 feet east. Assuming the existing access at this same location is being proposed as a shared use of access between each proposed lot, should relocate this similar distance east while consolidating and removing other existing access. Other ideas are welcome as long as they are in compliance with YDOT's access manual. Obtain other necessary future permits from YDOT that include utilities, encroachments, etc., that are inside the YDOT right of way. For any new utility connections within the YDOT right of way, the utility company's owners shall obtain the necessary M54 license via the new online permitting process Mainstar located at the following URL. Currently, YDOT requires any utility company needing to access the Mainstar system to contact the local district offices for the license or permit, or to email .utilities@wyo.gov to set up your login credentials. Darren Kaufman goes on to comment, the YDOT utility sections can be found at the following URL. Comments for the preliminary plat. As it stands now, proposed lot 1 has 2 permitted commercial accesses to Foothill Boulevard located near the westerly and easterly lot lines. Proposed lot 2 has a single non-permitted field access to Foothill Boulevard located approximately midway along the lot fronting Foothill. Unless spacings met per YDOT access manual, no new accesses will be granted and no additional access rights will be accrued with the parcel subdivision. In other words, access to newly created lots may need to provide internally from existing permitted accesses. YDOT reserves the right to review future potential development plans and issuances of necessary permits, access permits for change in use. Josh Sargent with Old Dominion states they have no issues and plans are approved as submitted. Rock Springs Fire Department, Nathan Reese, no issues, plans are approved as submitted. And Ryan Reese with the Wyoming Abandoned Lands Committee states property is not impacted by any known abandoned mine workings. No remediation action is recommended at this time. Staff comments from Sweetwater County Land Use. From the Sweetwater County Land Use Code Enforcement, Lot 2 will be restricted to a building envelope due to the 2018 IFC standards requiring structures on the commercial lot to be within 400 feet of a fire hydrant. Without a private hydrant being placed on the rear lot, construction can only take place on the front of the lot facing Foothill Boulevard, 2018 IFC section 507.5.1. Comments from myself include just a couple housekeeping items. For note 4, please add, and this is in regards to the access roads within the proposed lot 1, these need to be privately maintained. The county does not want to take over any more roads. All proposed easements, access, sewer, drainage, etc., will need enough information on them to be able to be recreated. This includes burying distant ties. The 75-foot multiple use easement on the south. This needs to have a book and page added if this is an existing easement. All bearings and distances need to be noted on the subdivision boundary and should match up with the legal description exactly. This is in reference particularly to the southwestern portion of the subdivision boundary. Just making sure those line up with the legal description. Please also show and label the southwest corner of section 6 as appropriate. So this is called out in the, as this is called out in the new legal description. Please update the vicinity map so that the subdivision boundary matches what is actually being proposing. Please also update the tab, the total acreage to reflect what is being called out in the legal description in your tabulation. It should be 65.60 acres. Also, lot 3 is zoned mixed residential. The City of Rock Springs Water Department needs to confirm 8-inch water main stubs on proposed lot 2 will work. And the Eddy property will need to have access granted via the 30-foot access easements within proposed lot 1 that will continue to run with the property. As a staff, we have compiled only 4 recommendations for approval of the final plat with the following conditions as listed below. Both requests for variances to access road widths be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. The zone map amendment for proposed lot 2 has been approved by the Board of County Commissioners as well. The City of Rock Springs approves the water stubs on proposed lot 2. The Eddy property will need to have access granted via proposed 30-foot access easements within the proposed lot 1 that will continue to run with the property. All proposed easements, access, sewer, drainage will need enough information on them to be able to recreate via varying distance ties, etc. That is all I have for this
Okay.
hearing, Madam Chair.
Perfect. Mr. Volcik, is there anything on this last one for the preliminary plot that you would like to add or? No, okay. Mr. Zimmerman, anything you would like to add at this point? Mhm. Yep, okay. We'll go ahead and we'll open it up for public comment. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to talk on the recommendation and on behalf of the preliminary plat, now is your time.
Hi.
Hi.
Dana Eddy again. I own the property north of the subdivision. I might have gotten a little confused about the previous hearing that just happened. I'm a little concerned about moving the residential from residential to commercial and then having a residential property. If I'm understanding this right on plot 3, because plot 2 is going to be in between my property and the other property. Is that correct?
Actually, let me find this slide so I can better describe this one. So if you want to look at the TV real quick, that is just inside the orange boundary is the only thing that will be changing to the CRS. Yeah. The rest will remain the residential zoning.
Okay. So I guess looking at that map, I think we'll be okay since we're kind of up in the upper corner. I just had some concerns because our property line is actually over, our property actually, our yard actually goes over the property line. So that's something I guess I can talk to Mr. Volcik about regarding the property line as it was like that when we bought it. So I just want to make sure that we're not mixing too much commercial in with the residential. We do own 3 acres out there, so I don't necessarily want to look at more commercial properties, especially when we have a huge row of it that's empty right now with night oil tools being empty. So I just don't want to create more of that happening. So I guess those are my only concerns and comments about the property location.
Wonderful. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Is there anybody in the audience that is against the preliminary plot? Anybody that would like to talk in general? Okay, hearing none, we will close the public comment and we will open it back up to the board. If anybody has any questions, comments, either for Mr. Volcik or Megan.
In this preliminary plat that they're doing for the easements that still, are there any new easements that still need to be granted? Or are they all listed on here like the 30-foot?
The only thing that I think still needs to be addressed is the access easement for the Eddy property. This is something we're still working with JFC on how to best address, whether that means making a note on the final plat and addressing it that way, or actually recording a separate access easement prior with that noted on the plat. Just still going through, trying to figure out what's the best way with that. Also, in the next step of the subdivision process is the final plat process that will also introduce the title work to the property. And we'll just make sure it covers all existing utilities and everything out there to where we wouldn't need to add any more easements at this time. So at this time, I'm not aware that there needs to be any more, but those are 2 housekeeping items that we will still be addressing in the final plat process.
And I do think that is, I mean, important for them to have access to their property. I mean, I think it definitely needs to be addressed and we need to make sure that it's clear just for later resale or whatnot, when, you know, if they're not there forever, that we have no issues with somebody else trying to access their property.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Concern is our sewer does go straight out into that property. So that would be a big one to make sure that we are making sure that it's not impeded or ran over or anything like that. It does go out into that big that vacant
Hmm.
land.
How-
So that is one that very much needs to be,
Do you have a septic
Noted.
system there then?
no, it's,
house?
we have our sewer and it goes straight out into that vacant land, and Bob might be able to talk to that more, and then it runs over. Mhm.
She is correct, like all that area just east of their property, that's sewer.
So that is a concern of ours, just because people have driven out there and they did have a break and it caused sewer issues in our house. So I just want to make sure that's on the record. And that needs to be addressed during this.
Yeah, I don't know, Megan or anybody, if you can,
I don't know.
if
either.
there is a resale, if Mr. Volsick does sell his property and the new owners take over, make sure that she still has access to her utilities that she has an
Yeah.
agreement with them. I mean, that should be part of it also, in case they resell and he resells, so.
Yes. The water has to be passed.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that would be something written up from our end or not, so.
So what I'm hearing is the utilities go through where this subdivision is.
It ties into your existing, because that was your existing property and that was tied into your existing land. Yeah.
If I may just address a couple of these comments. So up on the screen is the preliminary plat. And I know this is really hard to see everything, but we have ensured that there is an access, or the sewer is taken care of. That will be noted on the plat and will run with the plat, showing where the sewer is located. And as far as the utilities for water, we are working with JFC and Robert Volsick to write up a utility agreement currently.
Yeah, we're just preliminary now. so-
As long as it's out there, yes.
We will make sure that it includes all utilities.
Yep. Okay, any other discussion, questions? All right, hearing none, do we have a motion for public hearing number 8 on the preliminary plot for the Volsick subdivision?
I recommend that we accept the public hearing number 8 with the Robert A. Volsick preliminary plat, Volsick subdivision with the staff recommendations included.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have a first and a second. Any final discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. So Mr. Volsick, County Commissioners meeting for the preliminary plot doesn't need to go, but for your other 2 hearings, we'll need you to be at the County Commissioners meeting on the 19th. And they'll see the other 2 hearings that we looked at today. Eric, Megan, do you guys have anything else that you would like to add? I just want to say thank you for your hard work. This was a lot. I know you guys have been working months and months on all the hearings that we have heard today. And so I truly appreciate your guys' hard work. And Mr. Zimmerman, I know it's a lot and a lot of hours. So thank you.
Yeah, Megan wrote the report, so it took her, how long did it take you to write this report?
I
Can't even imagine.
started writing this the day after our last meeting, just because it had a lot. I know a lot of it was duplicated, but this was also a really good experience for me. It had a lot of new information in it, and overlapping that and just talking and seeing how the public hearing should work. So it's been a very good learning experience for me as well.
Good. I about died when I opened it. It was a lot. I was like, oh, okay.
We
But,
did give you a forewarning. It was going to be a big one.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. We did know. But I know it's been a lot. So thank you guys very much. I know it's a lot of hours. Anything else you two want to add? Anybody? All right, hearing none, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. It is 11:39. I appreciate everybody's time this morning.